Hey everyone, welcome back to Miniature Painting 101, a series of videos where I teach you all about painting miniatures from start to finish and everything in between. And this is part 90. We're almost at 100. Part 90, flesh, specifically dark Eldar flesh. As requested by you, you want to see how I paint dark Eldar flesh, and today I'll be painting this Hellion with plenty of flesh exposed. His head, his arms, and stomach actually, and feet are going to be exposed. So it's a great model to paint some flesh on. And we'll be using the standard set of colors from the Citadel range. We're going to be using 5 colors: Rakarth Flesh, Rakelin Flesh Shade, basically Witch Flesh, White Scar, and Prixetti White. And you can do as many intermediate steps as you wish, but I find that this is a good amount of steps for what I'm showing. So I'll start off with a base coat of Rakarth Flesh. Now, of course, I will prime the model light, either gray or white. I typically paint over a gray primer, but if you wanted to save a little time, go over a white primer. But I think gray is a great color to paint this color scheme over. So of course, I thinned down my Rakarth Flesh with some acrylic medium that I picked up from a local hobby shop. And I'm just going to paint all the flesh areas with this slightly thinned down Rakarth Flesh. And the reason why I thin it down is because the Citadel base colors are a bit thick, and I'm going to be applying a lot of colors, a lot of layers over the same areas. You don't want to obscure the details and make it go on too clumpy, so it's a good idea just to paint a couple thin coats. Paint one coat at least, and then if you find that it's too thin, paint a second coat. But as you can see here, the first coat is going over pretty much well. I just had to touch up a couple areas just slightly to make sure you have nice solid foundation before proceeding to the following steps. But you see Rakarth Flesh is a slight off-white. It's a slightly warmer than white, but it's pretty close to white, as we'll be doing this tutorial. And I noticed that the dark Eldar models tend to have a bit more exaggerated muscles through the shading, so I applied a watered down Rakelin Flesh Shade. And of course I did water it down because we'll be going, it's just a slight off-white of a base coat. If you applied a direct Rakelin Flesh Shade straight from the pot onto the model, you'll find that it will really overwhelm the areas and will make it really dark. And I don't want to do that, so I watered it down with a 1-1 mix of water to Rakelin Flesh Shade, and then applied it to all of the muscle, like all the skin areas that we'll be painting today. And as I said, the key is to let the shade completely dry before proceeding to the highlights. So now we'll take Pallid Witch Flesh. Once again, it's a slightly lighter color, but it's a slight off-white. That's the Hellion / Dark Eldar skin tone. So what we'll be doing is we'll be doing an overbrush on the areas like the feet and the head, but then the key is to pick up on the raised areas and like the cheekbones, the jawline, and for the arms and legs and chest, the key is just let the muscles dictate the highlights themselves. Do a zenithal highlight. So what you do is you start by doing the entire areas with the base color, then the shade, and then focus with each preceding step more and more towards the light source and upwards. And then allow the muscles to dictate the highlights, essentially. So you leave the recesses darker and then build up the muscles layer by layer. The highlights, as you can see, as I'm doing here. So I'm building up the muscles, making sure they're a little bit more exaggerated, and that's going to be the key for this tutorial, essentially. So as you can see here, we're just getting the muscles nice and highlighted up. And as I said, the Dark Eldar tend to have a little more exaggerated muscle lines, so that's why I kept it. I didn't go back to the Rakarth Flesh for the first highlight. I just went straight to the Pallid Witch Flesh. And once that is completely done, I added some White Scar into the mix. Now, I decided not to do a White Scar just by itself because I didn't want it to be too white of flesh. I wanted it to be slightly off-white as the colors dictate. So I did a 1-1 mix of Pallid Witch Flesh and White Scar, and this is going to be basically, you can actually finish after this step and you'll have a great Dark Eldar flesh tone. But I decided to go one step further with a Prixetti White as well, just a quick dry brush. Once again, I'm just building up the tones. For this step, I'm not going to go as farther down the muscles as I did the previous step, and I'm focusing on the areas that are facing more directly. So basically, kind of a 45-degree angle. I'm looking at the model, seeing which areas actually are hit by the light source, and then I'm focusing on those areas of the model. So I'm going to leave a bit of shading on the underarm of the model, and even the as you can see, the sides of the stomach are not going to get as highlighted up, because the goal is to build up a realistic gradient of skin tones on this Dark Eldar model. And I'm doing the same thing on the feet, just the tops, the feet, and the back. Once again, areas that my light source would be hitting with this combination of colors. And see, it's basically just it's a very close to white, almost like an eggshell, a slight off-white. And then I took Praxetti White, which is a dry brush compound from the Citadel range, and I just a very, very light dry brush over these areas once again, because what it'll do is it'll just pick up the edges and give them a slight white tinge to them, and it really make as you can see now, it really makes the jawbone and the top of the forehead, the cheekbones really pop on the face, and just give a little bit more definition to these areas. But the goal is just use a tiny amount of pigment, wipe it off in your brush, and of course go against the grain and perpendicular to the grain. That way you pick up on the edges and do a great dry brush to it. And that's it. So now you know how I paint up dark Eldar flesh. So as you can see, it does have the exaggerated muscle lines, and it has a great gradient of colors. As you see on the head, there's a great tonal variation on it. And the muscles really do stick out. Didn't take a lot of time, and that's how you paint dark Eldar flesh. Really cool, just using the standard Citadel color range of really off-whites and White Scar and Praxetti White. And I'm glad they look evil. They're evil Eldar. So thank you as always for watching this episode of Miniature Painting 101. I really hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for part 91, which is just around the corner next week as always. But if you don't want to wait for next week, check out The Warp. Click on the link below for a free 14-day trial to my premium YouTube channel. We're not only going to see the next 6 months worth of Miniature Painting 101 episodes before anyone else, you get to see over 75 start to finish painting tutorials, battle reports, an Airbrush 101 series, tons of face-off episodes. What are you waiting for? Go check out The Warp. You will love it, I promise. So thank you as always for watching. Until next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting everyone.